Hi, everybody. I am Stephanie Priest. I am the CEO and founder of Ignite Fitness Kickboxing, as well as the Ignite Method. And we have helped dozens of people get to the other side of their wellness journey, whether it be weight loss, the physical piece, the mental piece, any of those things, really focusing on sustainability and lifestyle and how it is to make this a part of your everyday life. So with that being said, today we are going to talk about hormones again and hormone imbalance, because that is one of the things that we hear often is my hormones are so out of whack. I don't know what it is to do to make certain that my hormones aren't impacting my wellness journey. So today we're actually going to talk about this beautiful thing in part 6 of our journey in hormones. I think that it's really important. I've alluded to this in the past in several of our other videos in this series about the amount of time that we actually spend on social media, the amount of time that we spend on our phones. I've also talked about the correlation between melatonin being impacted as well as cortisol levels being impacted whenever you have your cell phones. So what we're going to talk about today is how is it that we can do little things throughout the day to increase our melatonin levels when we need them and decrease our cortisol levels when we need them decreased. So there are a couple of different studies that are out there, and essentially those particular studies that I've read indicate that there is absolutely a correlation between a spike in cortisol levels and decreases in our melatonin levels. And what that means is when our cortisol levels go up, remember what our cortisol level is. Our cortisol is our stress hormones, right? So when our cortisol goes up, then our stress hormones go up and our melatonin production decreases. So this is what the studies are actually saying. The studies are actually saying that anytime you get a notification on your phone, regardless if it's good, yay, happy birthday, have an amazing day, I love you, from your friend, partner, whomever, or an email or a text notification that is like, you're fired and I dislike you and you're the worst thing in the world, right? Those all have the same cortisol response. There's a spike in it. So what that tells us is that our natural state is being impacted by this beautiful computer that we have right here, right? So it's being impacted, and it's being impacted in a negative way. So what we really want to make certain that we see is, instead of our cortisol levels like spiking like randomly, I've told you this before, my job is to make certain that I get these crazy highs and lows into something that's much more meaningful and something that the ebbs and the flows are less volatile throughout the day. It's the same thing with your hormones. So it's not just that with the nutrition, but it's also that whenever it comes to your hormones, whether they're stress hormones or they're your melatonin hormones. So we've talked also about natural timing throughout the day of how it is that you want to make certain that you do nutrition, right? We've talked about what your nutritional needs are during the day, what they are in the evening, how it is that we should actually feed our body to be in alignment with that. But now we've got these other external factors that are causing this in our hormone balance. So yielding, right? Hormone imbalance, right? Ups and downs, ups and downs, ups and downs, as opposed to what our natural state is, which should be cortisol levels should be higher in the morning. And then throughout the day, they should start to wind down with an increase, right, in your melatonin levels. So they should be inversely related. So that's what really we're going to talk about today. So in the morning, it's important to have higher cortisol levels. I just said that. It's important because we want to make certain that we are moving our body. We want to make certain that we're excited and ready for the day and all that good stuff. In the evenings, we want those to naturally decrease, right? And we want those to naturally decrease so that way we don't have difficulty falling asleep. So that way we don't have difficulty staying asleep. So that way we don't have difficulty going into those 5 stages of sleep. So how is it that we do that? We do that by controlling our cortisol level spikes, not just through nutrition, not just through exercise, but also recognizing that our phone has a huge impact on our cortisol levels. So how many of you guys use a phone before you bed? How many of you guys are like Snapchatting and like scrolling through TikTok and all that? So let me say this, that is the biggest cause of spikes in cortisol, okay? Because you're constantly being fed the sensory overload, and as you're constantly being fed that sensory overload, those cortisol levels spike. How many of you guys have a television on 60 minutes before you go to bed, right? How many of you have your tablet in front of you before you go to bed? All of those devices and that sensory overload yields a cortisol spike for you. So this is what I will challenge you to do, and I will recommend you to do in order for us to follow the natural state of what it is that our body absolutely needs. I would challenge you to do this. It's going to be a lot. 60 minutes before you go to bed, shut all of that down. Pick up like a real book. Look, I don't even have one in here. Pick up a real book and read a real book if that helps you go to sleep. But if you have background information happening, right? Like the TV is on in the background, your computer is on in the background, you're scrolling through TikTok, you're like on Facebook, you're on Instagram, you're on Pinterest. That's probably my like big one, right? 60 minutes before bed, we want to go ahead and shut that off. So that way your body naturally increases your melatonin levels and naturally decreases those cortisol levels. I will also challenge you to do this. I will challenge you to use your do not disturb. Okay, because a lot of times what happens, and I'm going to say this throughout the day. So I live with my phone in do not disturb, so much so that my family has called me and say, oh my gosh, turn your phone off of do not disturb. But I do that because the inordinate amount of notifications that I get throughout the day. I also have very specific times blocked to check my email. I have very specific times blocked to check my cell phone as far as my messages go. I have very specific times blocked to check Facebook, Instagram, and all that good stuff throughout the day from a work perspective. We are literally required to have our phones with us all the time and be available 24/7. Let me say this. I am not a big believer in work-life balance because I absolutely love what it is that I do. So I just like work is my hobby. But what I've done is I've built habits around utilizing my phone. So that way I'm not constantly distracted. That way I'm really making certain that my hormones are as in balance as they can feasibly be, right? So by blocking that time, my phone is actually turned over upside down right now and my do not disturb is on. I have a communication apparatus that I use, or an app that I use with our team members, and it's called Slack. And it pings, right? Every single time somebody sends a message. I turn all of my notifications off for that. You guys actually may have heard that in some videos in the beginning. And what I've done is I've turned my notifications off for that. So in my blocking, I'm a big blocker of time. I have time allocated that I'm going to check Facebook from a business perspective. I have time allocated that I'm going to answer my emails. It's very, very blocked because at the end of the day, I want to make certain that I'm taking care of myself and that I'm healthy, right? And if I'm not taking care of myself and I'm not healthy, I can't show up powerfully for any of you. I can't show up powerfully for my family. I can't show up powerfully for anyone. Shoot, I can't even show up powerfully for myself. And if I can't show up powerfully for myself, how in the world am I ever going to be any use to anyone else? So I'm very specific about blocking my time. Do I get it every day and knock it out of the park 100% of the time? Absolutely not. But if I'm batting 500, shit, that's better than half of the baseball players out there, right? Like the top players in the league bat 500. You guys have heard me say that before. So do that. Turn your do not disturb on. Block in your, I keep looking over here because my calendar is sitting right here, my planner. So I keep like tapping my planner because it's very much blocked out in a daily perspective of when it is that I'm going to do that stuff. So if you're able to really focus, right, on blocking that time, then you're not you're not distracted in the other areas of your world, right? So if you're trying to complete a project, if you're trying to do certain things, when you turn all those notifications off and you recognize that you have this period of time that is going to be used to address that, then all of a sudden you're starting to take control of your world as opposed to your world taking control of you. And oftentimes what happens, particularly with social media, is we get into this like suck, right? It's like this time suck where it takes away all of our bandwidth, quite frankly, and we spend it all. And I mean, how many of you guys have like an hour later been like, oh my God, I can't believe I've been like on Facebook for an hour. So do me a solid. Go on, set limits on your phone. I've said this before. It's really, really important. This is specifically pertaining to hormonal imbalance, though. And this happens throughout the day. This isn't just in the evening, right? So if you're able to block times when you're going to actually utilize your phone, when you're actually going to respond to your emails, when you're going to be on TV, then you're able to control your hormones because you're cognizant. Half the battle is that we just go through, right? Like we just go through the day and we become like slaves almost to going through this day. We want to eliminate that. We want to own our world. And this is part of how it is that you take back control, right? Is by not allowing those external factors to impact what it is that you're trying to accomplish. So what are you trying to accomplish? You're trying to build this wellness journey for yourself. So why is it that we would let social media have an impact on our ability to be able to take control of our life and take control of our journey? We don't have to. We just have to identify those coping mechanisms that allow us the ability to be able to take back control, take back our power, right? And this is one of those: turning on Do Not Disturb, blocking time in your calendar, ensuring that 60 minutes before you go to bed, because rest and recovery is so important, that you turn all of those things off. So I ask you this to make certain that you do it. 60 minutes before you go to bed. I challenge you every single day for this week to make certain that you turn off all of your electronics, okay? 60 minutes ahead of time. And then see if your rest and recovery is better. We are absolutely working on this with our Year of Change folks that we have in the Ignite Method, and they're just crushing it 100%. Also, a digital detox. I challenge you to do a digital detox. 24 hours, no phone, no computer, no TV, no spike in cortisol, no abnormal level of spike in cortisol. So I'm going to challenge you to do that. Actually, I have a video on how to do that. So I'll put that out. It'll go on YouTube, so that way you guys can take a look at it. We'll link it below in a couple of days whenever we drop this, so that way you can click on that. And you can also look at how is it that I actually do a digital detox? How is it that I go 24 hours with no tech time? Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Make certain that you subscribe and click that like button so I can continue to put out this awesome stuff for you. I hope that you find it as valuable as I do meaningfully. So thanks so much for everything that it is that you do. You know the drill. Take it easy. Don't be sleazy. Make certain you check out Fit, Free, and Fabulous on Facebook. It's another one of our free pages, so that way you can take a look at it. Tons and tons of tips and tricks on your wellness journey. We love to share with the community at large. So make certain that you check that out. Fit, Free, and Fabulous by Steph Priest. Check us out on Facebook also. You'll find us at Ignite Fitness Kickboxing on Facebook. And then you can also check us out on Instagram as well at Ignite_Kickboxing or at Steph Priest, either of those. Tons and tons of information always coming your way. And we're grateful that we're able to share it with you. So have an amazing day.